good afternoon, everyone. All right, so we're about to start our webinar for this afternoon. Just give us some time. We'll just try to fix some technical matters here. So I'm with the PMAP team who are so dedicated in organizing all these events, and I'm so fortunate to partner with them in delivering this session for this afternoon. So we are going to start our topic, our conversation now. But before that, just you have on the screen now, I would like to invite you to the GMM this coming September, and also the Innovation Summit, which is happening on October 29 and 30. That would be in 2 months' time. All right, so for those who just joined us this afternoon, I'd like you to type in one question that hopefully we should be able to answer in our 1 hour webinar this afternoon. If we will not be able to cover your question, then we should be able to get back to you. We'll email you, or hopefully we can get in touch another way. So again, welcome to our session this afternoon, and we are going to talk about creating a coaching culture. And our objective really is, how do we amplify the impact of coaching? Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I really appreciate being part of this initiative of PMAP. And it's really because coaching is an extraordinary popular term these days. And by now, we probably know someone, or maybe even ourselves, who has benefited from coaching. And much of the time, individuals would intentionally seek out a coach for a particular skill set or problem area that has been identified. This could be through feedback or in evaluations, and we reach out to someone how we could develop or improve certain aspects of ourselves. In some cases, organization will also offer coaching to those who show high potential and would need some support to fast track their development to prepare them for future opportunities. And the benefits of coaching, it helps improve the workforce of a company. It also helps improve employee morale and help address or achieve goals of the company. However, many organizations do not have the budget to offer coaching or executive coaching to all those employees that could benefit from this form of development. In addition to that, it's also been shown that individual coaching will not deliver the required results unless it's considered in a wider context across the organization, and if it's incorporated into the culture. So the question that we would like to ponder on this afternoon is, how do we build, how do we develop, and how do we sustain a coaching culture to help our organizations achieve our desired results? And we had one participant this afternoon who sent her question about effective way to start this culture and eventually sustaining it. And I hope that we would be able to cover that in this 1 hour session for this afternoon. So before I start, I would just like to give a brief introduction to myself. But I just want to, there is a message that the sounds are not clear. So we're doing live this now, so there might be some technical problems. Do pardon us. I'm not sure. Hi, Vinj, if the sound is clear now, can you please send another message if you can hear me now? Or if you still have a problem hearing me, please let us know, and so that we would be able to address it. But for everyone else, if there's any problem with the audio or the presentation, feel free to send a message. Perfect. Thank you so much for the feedback of F3 who said we can hear you clearly. All right, so we'll proceed. I will just give a brief introduction of myself. So my name is Joanne Acetre, and I am the Managing Director of Lee Hecht Harrison Philippines. And for more about me, you can follow me on LinkedIn. But I've been with Lee Hecht Harrison for 15 years now, for a total of 15 years. And I'm also the Master Trainer on Change Management Practice for Asia Pacific. So for many years now, I've been leading integrated project teams, and we deliver large-scale change management, transformation initiatives, and leadership development initiatives across the country, and also in some parts of Asia Pacific. But So that's a very brief introduction about me. And as I mentioned, you can check me out on LinkedIn, and we can have a conversation so that we would be able to share more. Just a quick house rules for this afternoon. We request that you mute your line, and you can use the chat box, or you can raise your hand if you would like to send us a message. And also, if you can't hear us well, do try to exit the webinar and rejoin again. It might be a problem with the connection, so you can do that. But if there will still be a problem, just send us a message so we can take a look at that. All right, so I'll share with you later on who Lee Hecht Harrison is. But before we go into that, I'd like you to assess how is the coaching culture in your organization today. If you are an individual and you do not belong to any organization right now, I'd like you to assess your own coaching capability using the rating on the screen. So I will launch the poll in a while, but I'd like to share with you what your options are. So one is a resistor, does not believe in coaching. Generally, if you are in an organization, so leaders or the executives does not believe in coaching, or a novice maybe, you're curious about how to apply coaching, or apprentice, you utilize a range of coaching tools and techniques, but it's not really widespread yet. The other level is practitioner. So you understand the value of coaching, you show interest, you know the value of coaching as a development tool. The last level, and of course this is where we really desire to be, is masters. So we are advocates of coaching. All our levels and employees are applying effective coaching techniques. So I will be launching the poll now, and I'd like you to describe the coaching culture in your organization. So just choose one, and let us know how it is in your organization. So again, you can choose resistor. Nobody believes in coaching, so you have a challenge, I think, except you, because you are with us this afternoon. Or you're a novice, so you're curious, you'd like to know more, you're a master. And we also have here, I'd like you to also assess the culture of trust in the organization. So is it high, is it moderate, is it low, or very low? Now, on this question about the culture of trust, I know that there are many facets when we talk about trust, but I'd like you to just think about the concept of trust, wherein we feel comfortable with someone, we can express ourselves without fear of being judged, or we can afford to fail without, any fear of any negative repercussions. So I'd just like you to think along that line. How is the culture of trust in your organization? If you are an individual, how are people relating with you? Can they open up with you? And also a good question to reflect here is, who speaks most when you are talking to someone? Is it you, or is it the other person? You give them the time to share, express what they have in mind. So that's our poll for this afternoon. So we have two questions. I will be sharing with you the results later on. We will get to that stage where we will see the coaching culture in your organization, or also the culture of trust in your organization. So I will now end the poll, and then we will move forward. We will see how the results look like in a while. All right, so let's go to, so we will now, would like to hear from you. So do share your thoughts or questions in the chat box. And for those who have raised their hand, feel free to send your message. You can send it either to everyone or to just the panelists, so that you would be able to send us a private message. Feel free to do that at any point in time. And then hopefully, if we have time, we will be able to get back to you. If not, then we will contact you separately after this webinar. All right, so at this point, I'd like you to, you might be wondering who Lee Hecht Harrison is. I know it's difficult to pronounce. Lee Hecht Harrison, or LHH. We also call ourselves LHH. We are a transformation company. So our mission is to help companies simplify the complexity associated with transforming the leadership and workforce. And why do we do that? It's really because we want you to be able to accelerate results and hopefully to help you manage the risk. How do we do that? I'll share with you our capabilities in a short while. But before that, I'd like to share with you our footprint. So we are the world's leading talent development company. We have the local expertise here in the Philippines, but we have a global infrastructure and industry leading technology, which supports us when we are supporting organizations simplify the complexity with transformation. We help you, of course, minimize the brand and operational risk when we support you with your transformation. And then we have teams in more than 60 countries around the world, and we are supported by that technology and also infrastructure when we go and support you in whatever your transformation constraints are. So that's our footprint. Share with you how we support organizations. These are our capabilities. So we have capabilities on assessments and analytics, which would help you increase the accuracy of your talent decisions. We have talent development solutions. We have career development solutions, change management, career transition, and also coaching solutions, which is what we will talk this afternoon. So that's Lee Hecht Harrison, and I hope that it gives you a very brief but also a good background on who our company is and what we do. So let's start. We will now talk about creating a coaching culture, and we only have 1 hour, and it's a challenge because there is just a lot of topic that we can cover when we talk about coaching, especially coaching culture. So just to set with you our objectives for this 1 hour conversation is really what is coaching culture and what opportunities can we leverage on so that we would be able to make a difference in the organization. And you have some questions on how can we start or what are the best approach. We'll share with you general principles and how and where you can start the journey. Now, I'd like you to look at the word journey because there's no formula, no framework for a coaching culture. It's really a journey, and we can all start from. We will share with you best practices on where you can start, but it's really a journey, and everybody would be good. If we are traveling, it would be good to have everybody on board, right? And that's what we will share with you this afternoon from the many years of LHH providing coaching support to many organizations in different parts of the world. So, and to help us achieve that objective, we will only answer 3 questions. So one is, what is a coaching culture? Why is it important? And many of you have sent questions now on how do we build a coaching culture. So that's our cover for this afternoon. Let's start now. I'm sure you are now all eager to start our conversation. Again, feel free to send messages in our chat box. So let's start. What is a coaching culture? That's what it would be helpful if we will understand what that means first before we talk with the how. I'll share with you first what is coaching, and this is how Lee Hecht Harrison defines coaching. So it's a development process where we want to help individuals and also, of course, teams realize they have the potential. And of course, when they do realize that, they would be able to achieve and sustain their performance. And at the end of the day, we want these performance to help us achieve our business results. So this is coaching. Now, let's bring this coaching process or development process to a culture. How does that look like when we have this coaching culture? So a coaching culture is one where people are empowered and where coaching takes place in all levels. And we say all levels is not just our C-suite executives, it's not just the high potentials or high performers. So we really wanted to be present in all levels, in all areas of the organization, in the country, in the hallway, in planning sessions, in meetings, in performance feedback sessions. And we want it to be the DNA of everyone. So that's the only time we can say that we have a coaching culture. Let's talk more about this definition. So culture is a set of values, beliefs, and it's really our practice, it's our mindset. And it will only be a culture if this mindset is adopted across all levels of the organization. And the other one is coaching. So it's a partnership between clients. We just call it clients, but it's really your leaders and their team members, your colleagues, your partners, your boss, your manager. So there's a level of partnership wherein you go through a creative and provocative process that inspires you to really think about your potential, and then you are now empowered to really pursue what you can be, how you can be better from where you are. And that's the next word. So it's an act of taking power over yourself. We will recognize in that culture, we will recognize we can do more, we have a lot of potential, and we will then own it, and we will be empowered to go through that development process. And all levels, as I've mentioned, it's not only executives and managers, it could also be our rank and file members of the organization in all areas, wherever they may be, whatever they may be doing. And here, being present throughout the life cycle, so from onboarding down to transition when they exit the company. So that kind of culture of practice should be observed, and we should be able to see that everybody has that mindset, whatever the phase, whatever the process is of an employee in the organization. And again, it should really be connected with the business strategy. So what kind of business results do we want to achieve? And this is the coaching culture. However, I would like to go back to the set of values, beliefs, and rituals. And that really brings us to the idea of a mindset. Coaching starts with a mindset. We can have all the coaching programs, we can have all the coaching skills development, how to ask questions, open-ended questions, reframing questions. But if we don't have the right mindset, then we will have a problem. So it has to start with the fundamental belief in the worth, in the capabilities of others. We have to start with the belief that everybody has the potential. We all have the inherent set of talents, of passions, and potential. And for a coaching culture to be present, all leaders across all levels has to believe that everyone else have within them the ability to determine what they want, the actions that they can take to get what they want, and also the ability to take that action. Coaches has to start at believing that others do not need our solutions. They will not they don't need what happened to us, what we did, but they are capable of determining their own solutions. And this is where the problem usually starts, because when we are in the traditional organization, leaders or managers who are promoted would have this mindset that I know more. That's the reason why I am a manager, is because I know more than you, I have more experience than you, and that will not help you establish a coaching culture. Everybody has to have that mindset. Everyone has the set of talents, passions, and potential. We all have to believe that people can really determine what they can do, and they would be able to do that. So we have to start with that mindset. If you don't have it, then we will have a problem. Then that's what we have to start first. The other ingredient of the coaching culture is the culture of trust. Coaching culture is about relationships. That's why I asked you earlier about the culture of trust in your organization. Because when we say coaching culture, if I am your team member, if I am your leader, or if I am reporting to you, I should feel safe to open up with you. If you ask me a question, I should not feel scared that you will judge me, that I will just keep to myself my ideas or my suggestions. And that's not, you will not be able to have a coaching culture if you have a problem with trust in your organization. So the question here really is, how is the culture of trust in your organization? And I think it would also be helpful to, how is the culture of accountability as well in your organization? So it's really people, leaders, they know that they're accountable to the growth and development of their people, and they can be trusted. People can open up with them. What are my desires? What are my motivation? What really makes me happy? And what are the possibilities? What are opportunities that I can pursue? So we have to start with that culture. Now, would be helpful for us to, let's just quickly go back to the poll that we started earlier. So I will just share with you the result at this point. So you could be sharing now the result on your screen. So we have significant number of our participants are saying they're novice or curious how to apply coaching, or the second majority is apprentice. So you utilize a range of coaching tools or techniques, but you still want to learn more. And we have here some masters, and it would be fantastic to also learn from them. There has to be a spirit of collaboration among leaders, among organizations, and we have to break down the culture of silos. Wherein this is our coaching framework. This is our coaching culture. We have to break that if we want to have a business community that's thriving, and we are all equally providing great value to the community. So we have masters here, and it would be good to get in touch with you later on and find out how are you doing it in your organization. The next goal that we raised earlier was the culture of trust. So it's great that we have a few who says that you have a high level of trust in the organization. You already have what it takes. And this is a very critical ingredient if you would like to have a culture of a coaching culture. We have here who are saying it's moderate and low, and I think what's good to find out here is where is the problem, what's happening, at what level is culture of trust, where is the problem. So I think that would be very helpful for us to find out. Now let's go back to our presentation. Thank you for your answers to our poll, and because those are really the ones that would help us to think where do we start. Let's go back to our poll first before we talk about where do we start and what do we do. So let's go back to our presentation. Before we talk about the how, let's talk about the why. So let's talk about why is coaching culture important? We are doing well. We are already the leading company in the industry. So why do we have to even think about coaching culture? So let's go to that. And these are some of the results from a survey, from a research that D. Heck Harrison conducted. And it confirms that where a coaching management style is practiced in organizations, it has a positive impact on the working lives of many individuals and the teams that they operate in. It contributes to leadership development, creating a positive and productive working environment, improving employee engagement and retention, and also boosting individual, which of course helps also boost organizational performance. Let's start to zoom in on engagement and retention. This is one area where coaching clearly appears to have a positive impact. And in an LHA survey, participants were asked about their career intentions, if they will still work with the company or if they would like to already pursue other opportunities outside the company. And showing you on the screen now is the cover page of that study, and I will just share with you that of the respondents who said that they will still work with the company, they said that 59% said that their manager is a good coach. And look at the 80%, they were the ones who strongly agreed with the statement, my manager supports my development. So this is really a very important data for us to know. And in your situation, it would be good to ask this question as well. So how do the employees feel about their managers? Are our managers having this conversation with them, not just telling them what areas they have to develop on or what their weaknesses are? So it would be good for us to find out, do our employees feel supported? We have that kind of conversation where we ask them what their passions are, what interests them, and also what they don't like to do in the company. Another one that I would like to zoom in is performance and development. So this is also one of the results, one area of the survey where participants said that coaching helped or hindered their individual performance. So depending on the manager's coaching ability, 83% of participants with a good coach as a manager said that their manager encouraged continuous improvement and development, thus improving their performance. There was, in fact, a portion there on the results where it says that the manager would speak to them even outside the performance management feedbacking system. So in the hallway, or they will just be invited for conversation. And it was in these conversations where they felt valued, where they felt that their managers were listening to them. The effect on performance from this survey shows that it's not just restricted to the individual. What is also clear in the survey is that with good managers as coaches in place, the benefits of coaching resonate throughout the organization, as those employees that are coached, they in turn adopt a coaching style in their interactions with others. So in this way, coaching style does not just impact on the follower, but it affects the whole system and the environment. I remember one organization that we supported, and this was a heavily unionized organization. And there was just a very low level of trust between the leaders and the employees. We had to start with one side, and many of the employees or the leaders said, coaching will not work for us. Our people, you have to always tell them what to do. And we said, just try it out. Just have conversation with them and see what the effect would be. We came back a month after for what we call coaching circles. And the union president was the first one who said that it worked. It happened to one workshop that we delivered in the Visayas region, and it was delivered by one of our executive coaches. So, and that is really an effect where one person feels that you can trust him, that he can speak out, and he would also behave the same way. Would also have open conversation. He would also minimize judgment when he is interacting with his colleagues. So, just a very brief discussion on how coaching culture would help your organization. Now, let's go to the part where many of you were asking for about this one. We were asking about, so how do we start? How can we approach non-believers? How can we start it and sustain it? So these were the questions that we received from the chat room about what do you expect, what you want us to discuss this afternoon. So let's go there very quickly. Again, if this is a very limited time for us, but feel free to contact us, or I will share with you also my email address later on, and we can have more conversations on how you can start a coaching culture in your company. But let's start with this webinar for this afternoon. How do you do that? First, I'd like to share with you this quote from the study that I shared with you earlier. It says, "Get the most from coaching. Organizations need to look at how they can develop managers as coaches and create a coaching management style and culture that becomes part of the fabric of the organization." Now, this is where I would like to say that in some cases, our clients would want to hire an executive coach. And I mentioned this in the first part of the webinar where we don't have the budget. Not all of us has the budget for executive coaches for all our employees. And I just want to say that we really don't need to have certified coaches in our organization, or we don't need to have that big number of certified coaches. When I say certified coaches, these are employees, your leaders, or your managers who go through a coaching certification program. And I have encountered some individuals or some clients who think that they would only be able to have a coaching culture if they have certified coaches internally. And what we want to say is, we really don't want them to be certified by any certifying body, but we want them to have the mindset that they can trust their people, and also they will have the skill as coaches in the organization. So that's what we want to send to you, to tell you in this afternoon. So let's go to 4 steps that you can take to start your journey. And I received through the chat box, I think there were almost 10 who sent this question. So where do we start? Okay, let's start with this the first one. First is, you have to start at the top. This is very important. We had a lot of clients where we started with middle managers, where we started with line managers, and it's not as effective as when we start with the ones who are leading the organization. A commitment to creating a coaching culture within an organization, along with the resources and support, are needed to make that happen. And it will depend on the buy-in of your senior management. The rollout of coaching needs to start at the top, with the new behaviors being role modeled at the most senior level. I remember a discussion with a client. We were talking about a coaching program for their team of region directors, and one feedback, or in the discussion with the HR, she said that these leaders, they would say something else when they are outside the room. They would have different conversation, but when they are with their leader, they would say something else. And to make the long story short, we just realized that the problem is not with the line managers. It's with the senior leader, because, and upon further conversation or probing, the HR manager found out that the senior leader will speak almost all the time. He will be the one to dictate actions or tasks or strategies. And whenever other managers would speak up, he would crush down the idea. So how about you in your organization? How are your senior leaders behaving? Are they modeling this kind of openness, this kind of trust, that you have ideas, that you have innovative ideas that you can bring to the table? Because they have to model that. And then this should create a clear link between adopting a coaching style and business performance. And that should encourage others to follow the example rather than being discouraged, and then they will just focus on tasks. So, however, I just have to say that executives require sufficient support to make and sustain the changes. So, coaching is it's like riding a bicycle. When you learn it the first time, many of you probably remember that the first time you tried to study bicycle, you didn't know how to do it, and then a few more practice or a few more years before you internalized the skill of riding a bicycle. And that's coaching as well. So even if they are already at the top, it does not mean that they are good coaches. And also, I want to say this: if you are the one who belong to the senior management team, it does not mean that you are already a good coach. Okay, so we have to be humble enough to evaluate ourselves. Do we allow others to open up? Are we open to mistakes of our team members? So you have to think about how can we support our executives so that they would be able to sustain the new behavior that is required for us to develop and sustain a coaching culture. And you can have sessions with executive coaches, and you can support your recommendation with a 360 feedback maybe, or you can have focus group discussions as well. So you do that so that you would be able to support your executives. And in many cases, companies would get an external coach partner so that they would be able to support their senior leaders. And where you're choosing a firm, I have here on the slide suggestions. So you choose one with a solid reputation, with an extensive footprint, and also the one that would be able to support your business goals and also achieve the culture that you would like to establish in your organization. So that's one. You start with top. You start at the top. And then after that, let's go to the involvement of line managers. It is important that people or managers at all levels of the organization are clear about the aims of encouraging managers to adopt a coaching style as the management style of choice. So, was a question earlier about what's a coaching style? What do you mean by a coaching management style? So, to think of it, I don't have the discussion here, but maybe I'll have to get in touch with you later on. But a coaching management style, as I said earlier, was really like a coaching culture. So you allow people to speak up, you allow people to share their ideas. You have in some organizations they would have innovation rooms. It's just not a room, but it's really a place where people can do things differently. So that is a coaching management style. You allow people to share what they have in mind rather than you telling it all the time to them. So it's really allowing them to express. It's allowing them to contribute but through their own ideas or own initiatives, and it's not just top down all the time. So that's what you would like to encourage among your managers. And this is really also difficult because some managers might also need support. And some managers would need adequate development, which would help them to develop their coaching skills. So for those who are already well versed in coaching skills from other programs, maybe they would need refresher training, but you need to establish a common coaching framework in your organization. So what is it that we're going to use? What kind of coaching style are we going to build and develop here in the organization? And you can explore ways how you can support your line managers. So you can have a cohort where they go through a coaching program and they can serve as your internal coaches, or they can train your internal leaders. So we have one client where we certified their line managers not the HR team, not the L&D team, but these were the line managers that we certified as facilitator coaches, and they were the ones who delivered the coaching program in the organization. What is very helpful here is that these line managers are very familiar with the operational issues. They know what's happening in the organization, and they can easily create rapport and establish credibility when they are the ones who are running the programs for your organization. So you think about that. How will you support your line managers so that you would be able to have coaches at all levels? And you also establish the fact that coaching is a required leadership competency. So you make sure that you are able to communicate that, and you also try to determine how will you measure these coaching skill of your leaders. So how well you can measure how well they develop or how well they engage their talent, how many successors they have in their pipeline. You can have these metrics of success so that they would be able to really understand that you are serious in building a coaching culture across the line managers. So the second one, let's go to our third step in creating a coaching culture. And we say you have to make a business case for coaching. So why is it important? You have to make it clear. It's important to determine how coaching will help drive business performance. It should be a case that is clearly articulated and also easy to understand. If the business strategy is driving increased productivity during challenging markets, for example, you might examine the part that a coaching culture has to play. When the way we've always done things before is no longer working, you might want to focus constructively and supportively on an individual's performance, and that could be helpful for you to increase your business results. So you might need to partner with a business sponsor or a champion who can help you and show support and really rally the business case for your coaching culture, for your coaching initiatives in the organization. Ideally, this will be a highly regarded senior leader or a board member, and this will help create an ecosystem that will allow the coaching culture to take root and to gain visibility in the organization. It will help to broaden the involvement across the organization, and this is where it's very important. It will avoid coaching being pigeonholed as a pet project or an HR project that we don't want to be part of. So when you have a leader who is driving the business case, a very clear business case, then you would be able to really send a message that the organization is very serious about this initiative, about this project. Finally, the number 4 is you have to integrate coaching into the way we do things around here. So it's worth reflecting that there's no one single intervention that will meet the coaching challenge that many organizations face. It is unlikely, for example, that simply addressing coaching skills will create a sustainable coaching culture. And one of you asked this question earlier about sustainable coaching culture. A more strategic approach is required, and here is where using a combination of tactics to ensure coaching becomes ingrained in the organization and is successful in delivering the desired benefits. This means senior management, human resources, and line managers working together to tackle any obstacles to coaching. That may mean taking on taboos. And when I say taboo, like for example, there are some organizations who are still using the word coaching clinic address bad performance. You might want to move away from that because it's creating a negative connotation to the word coaching. We have encountered a lot of organizations wherein when managers call their employees and when they mention the word coaching, the employee would resist the idea because it has been prevalent in the organization that when a person is given coaching sessions, then there is a problem. So you have to face that challenge head on. If you need to in some cases, you can use other words, but you also have to address the mindset, the belief on the coaching. So that's when you have to start having conversations in that feedback room, in that performance management room. I'm using this one because there are some organizations where they use this room only for performance conversations, sometimes unknowingly. and they attribute that room to negative conversations. You might want to break that pattern, that habit, so that employees would start to appreciate coaching as a positive experience for them. And you might also want to also think on organizational belief about the use of time. So it's quite a common reason why some leaders or managers would resist the idea of coaching, because they say that it takes a lot of time. Instead of me just telling them what to do, it's much faster, it's much quicker. But actually, yeah, during that conversation, you told them what to do, it's fast, it's quick. But later on, you will not be there all the time, especially these days of we have frequent changes, we have changes are just prevalent, and we need our employees to step up, be able to think on their own and to come up with solutions to the problems. And you're not there all the time. So you want them to really be able to develop that problem solving skill, and we're able to help that when we have these coaching conversations with them. So you also have to practice believe that time for conversations is very helpful. I go back to the first part of my slide where coaching culture starts with trust, and trust is founded on relationships, and relationships is strengthened when you give time to your employees, to your leaders as well. So you want to have that right mindset, and also have to have the proper mindset when it comes to coaching programs. So we often get questions about shorten the program from 2 days to 1 day, or 1 day to 4 hours, or no follow-up sessions. We understand that we are all very busy, but coaching is a skill that takes time. We need time to practice. We need time to really hone it, develop it, so that we would be at the master level. So it's not just a feel-good program. Yeah, we believe in our people. Um, we always hear about it. People are our assets. People are our talent. We developed it. The truth is, are you practicing it? Are you giving it time? Are you giving them time to have conversations? Even if it's not scheduled, do you invite them to have that coffee? Do you invite them to have the conversation about what's motivating them at this time? What is making them what's making them feel discouraged in the organization? So you need to open that conversation with them. And there's a question here before I go to the next slide about, doesn't this limit opportunities for change or improvement? It's actually the opposite. When you have an open conversation, you want people to think about on their own, what areas do I need to develop, or what are my strengths as well, rather, because if we just tell people, some of you might be parents here, and you might be able to relate that when we just tell them what's wrong with them, they would resist. And our team members, our employees might not say that outright to us if we tell them you have this is your strength or this is your weakness. There's no ownership process. They will attend a program or a training program just to take off it from on the list, but they don't really own it. There's no energy, there is no commitment to the process. So when you allow them to really think on their own and process their development on their own and explore their potentials on their own, it actually increases exponentially the opportunities for change and improvement. It's when they realize that they can do a lot more. And that's when they think that I can do it, I am empowered. And you would be able to, if you have that kind of mindset across all levels, then they are able to, you would also see how it will ripple across the whole organization. So thank you for your questions. Just keep coming back. Yes, I understand. No, don't say sorry for your questions. Just keep them coming. And this is exactly the kind of conversation. So you ask questions. This is coaching culture. You ask questions. You should not feel sorry for asking. And that's how it should be when we are with our team members in the company. So we should feel free to ask. And we always hear about, if you remember back in school, there are no wrong questions. That's how a coaching culture should be. No wrong questions. Everybody should feel free to ask. If you apologize for asking question, then we have a problem. Then that means that we have to look at our relationship. We might have to see the level of trust in the between us or in the organization. So this is just one way. I really appreciate you. I'm not sure if I can mention your name to privacy, but I really appreciate your asking the question. And this was an on-the-spot demonstration of how a conversation should look like. We should not feel limited by asking questions. And thank you also for the next message that we received. It's not a senior authority teaching the junior, because that might just be mentoring. You have a more experienced person, and then it's a knowledge transfer to the junior level person. That's mentoring. I apologize, I was not able to include here a topic on the difference between mentoring and coaching, but mentoring is similar to what was just sent to us, where a senior person is teaching the junior, and that is mentoring. Coaching is really a process where through the interaction, through the conversation, the person goes through a thinking process where he would realize what are my potential, what can I do, and how can I address this situation, how can I improve. And that's not us teaching them. One practice of Lee Harrison is ask, don't tell. And through the asking, through the series of open questions, you are helping the person think about what are the possibilities. So no, it's not, coaching is not like that. That is mentoring. Okay, so all right, so thank you for the other questions. I think I have a few more minutes, so I will go to my next slide. If you will allow me, I am getting more questions in the chat box, and I'll address a few here. So is there a certain method on how to conduct coaching? It's not rocket science, but we do have in LHH what we call coaching practices. So like ask, don't tell, reframe the picture. And these are practices that you can use in your conversations. But if you're asking me about rules or guidelines in how to conduct coaching, we do have some principles to follow, like you allowing the person to speak most of the time instead of you. And that will be a wonderful conversation in our next session. Do let us know if you would like us to talk about these methods, these practices, and we can share that with you. Now, how do you deal with a top management person who has an attitude of I call the shots here? That's a very common challenge we have here, especially in the Philippines. We have a very hierarchical culture where we respect the ones at the top. My first question is, have you given that feedback to that management person that he has that kind of attitude? And how did he react when you gave that feedback? I hope that he was open to that, or if you have not yet given the feedback, let me know how he would respond. That would be the starting point of our conversation and how we can start the coaching culture. Because, you know, in many cases, we sometimes do not give feedback to our leaders because we are afraid to, I mean, they might not like it. But actually, if we give them that feedback, they might actually appreciate it. We all have our blind spots. And if we are able to have the conversation with them, would actually be helping them improve the leadership style. Now, if he does not take it, then he has a problem. If I were you, I would assess, is this the kind of leader or culture that I would want to be part of? So I hope I was able to answer very briefly that question, and feel free to contact me later on for a more longer discussion around your question. Yes, so we have some models here that are being sent. Yes, those are also great, like the GROW model, and that is also a framework that's used in coaching. Thank you for sharing that. I'd just like to share with you two cases that was handled by Lee Harrison. So we have one here where this is a global company, and they wanted to create an organization-wide coaching culture. And they want to reduce their spend on executive coaching. This company used to have senior leaders, and they will sponsor executive coaching for these senior leaders. But they wanted to really develop and sustain a coaching culture across the whole organization. So what we did for them was we delivered the coaching conversations program of Lee Harrison. And when we did this, they used it in many sessions across the globe, and it created a very significant change in their organization. So you would see that we rolled out, were able to develop resilience, and they were able to roll out significant transformations, significant organizational change in the organization because of that coaching culture. And if you also are going through changes in the organizations right now, or transformations many are going through, it will be difficult if you don't have a coaching culture. If you are not able to have conversations that are open with trusting, there will be a lot of challenge or a lot of resistance. So if you are experiencing resistance now that you're rolling out change, you might want to assess the culture of trust, the culture of relationship, or the coaching culture in the organization. The other case that I'd like to share with you is also with a global 50 manufacturing company where we had a survey and there was an unprecedented in employee satisfaction with the manager's ability to coach and provide feedback. Especially here in the Philippines, we have leaders who are promoted because of technical skills, but not because of people skills. So lack of meaningful career and performance-related discussions threaten the company's ability to attract, develop, and spark talent. So what we did here was we also ran coaching conversations, and this was a blended learning sessions. This was delivered across 5,000 leaders in 16 countries, so in North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. And as a result of this, the company achieved a 22-point year-over-year increase in scores in the Net Promoter Score for leaders, coaching, and feedback skills. So that these are two cases that I wanted to share with you. But you might want to might also be asking about LHH coaching solutions. So we have coaching engagement program for one-on-one programs for your senior leaders. We have programs that would help develop internal coaching capabilities, and also we have managed coaching programs that would also support, that would accelerate the coaching skills across the organizations. And what these programs are here on the screen. So we have programs for C-suite executives, for leaders, for managers. We have coaching conversations, coaching practices for leaders. These has been what we have been running for several companies because of the desire and the need to have a coaching culture in the organizations. I have here, what if the senior employee with attitude problem tends to leave the company? Do we need to coach or mentor, or rather to let go of him? That's a very tricky question. Of course, there could be a lot more information around this question, but would you want to focus on that one employee versus the others who are staying behind and has no attitude problem? Well, of course, except in cases where it's really very critical to your organization, then we might need to think about succession. So there are many ways how to address this. If he wants to leave, I would say, why should we bother with an employee that has an attitude problem? We don't want a rotten apple to affect all the other ones who are staying in the organization. How about employees in the organization with different beliefs? How can we handle their culture and let them absorb our new culture in the organization? I like this question because I remember several clients that we also supported were in senior level executives are resisting the idea of a coaching culture is because they are used to the culture of I know it all, you come to me, I'm the expert, I know everything. Especially many of us are familiar with the challenge with multi-generational workplace. So and that's where we have to start. There are many ways of doing it, and we don't have time now. So in fact, I just received a note that I only have a few minutes remaining, but there can be many strategies how we can sell the idea of coaching culture to these senior employees, to these mature employees, and we can help them understand how they can help the organization develop and train talent. And you know what? Some of the senior executives that we have worked with, the reason why we are resistant is also because they want to stay in the company, they want to remain relevant. They are scared that if they coach others, they will be replaced. And we're working now with one company where we are supporting these employees who are in the retirement age plan the retirement life. So this company has, I think, a significant pool of senior leaders who should be retiring soon, but they have no successors because of that resistance to coaching. Sorry. Now what we're doing with them is we're helping them plan the retirement life. we want them to get excited. We want them to look to the future, but at the same time, we are engaging them to help train successors through a coaching program. So there are many ways. Again, we can talk more about that. Feel free to get in touch with me. And also we can talk more about that. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot more questions, and the questions are really very, very good. We will gather your questions. Let's see if we have a few more minutes. Okay, I'm just reading the questions that are coming in. All right, so coaching is 90% attitude and 10% technique. So again, I just found this when I was preparing for this session. I read this in one material, and again, it has to start with the mindset. It has to start with our belief before we go into any coaching skill. So we really have to think about, why do we even want to go into coaching? Do we believe, do we trust in the capability of our team members? So, and only then will we be able to really learn and use the techniques that comes with coaching. So there are questions about copy of the PowerPoint or copy of this webinar. I think, are we providing them copy? So I leave that to our PMAP team here. But if you would like to know more about We at Harrison, do follow us on LinkedIn. Also, we are giving a free 1-hour coaching session to the first 10 individuals who will follow us on our LinkedIn profile. So it's a free 1-hour session. It can be virtual. If you are in Makati, we can have it face-to-face. For you to have a sense of coaching, or you might have actual business concerns that you want to really, discuss with a coach. Okay, so keep in touch with us and let us know. Follow us on LinkedIn so that we would be able to talk about coaching session. And I have a note here that PowerPoint will be uploaded to the website of PMAP. Yes. So the video, the recording of this webinar, and also the PowerPoint will be uploaded to the website of PMAP. So, and that is www.pmap.org.ph. So you will be able to find that in the website. Find out more about how we can help you improve your coaching capability. You can call us, or I have my email address on the screen right now. That's me personally. So I'm Joanne Acetra, the Managing Director of We at Harrison. I also have my LinkedIn ID there. So it's Joanne Acetra. Just look for me on LinkedIn and we can discuss your questions. I will be asking the PMAP staff for the questions that I was not able to answer today. And I will respond to you, so that, because there are a lot of good questions, very critical ones, and it would be good to have a conversation around that. So thank you very much, and I just want to invite everyone. I hope to see you on September 24 in the general membership meeting. It's a joint BMM by MAP and PMAP. So do register, and also see you in the Innovation Summit of PMAP. That's the third HR Summit, and that's happening on October 29 and 30. So keep your questions coming. If you have more questions, you have my email, and we would be very happy to reply to you. Thank you, everyone, and I really appreciate this session. I had good interaction with you all. Great questions, great insights. I do hope we will see each other again in future sessions. And speaking of which, I have a poll here. Just let us know if you have your preferred topic. So I'm launching a question now. Just let us know if you have, from the 3 topics we have on the screen now, if there's anything that would interest you. One is, how do you conduct employee termination meetings, retirement success planning for employees, or leading complex transformation? So let us know, because we will be planning for the next webinar, and hopefully we would be able to schedule that in the next quarter. So thank you for the responses. I really love the audience. Great answers, great questions. Right, so we have leading complex organizational transformation. That's really a very common challenge right now. I was on the phone earlier and how to address that. So Thank you for your responses. We will keep in touch with you for your questions. Also, send me a message if you have questions that you were not able to raise in our webinar this afternoon. Bye. Good afternoon. Have a good day.